Blackstone, it's on the first page, but just looking at the poverty rate here, it's 22.3% people living below the level of poverty. The state average is 10%. That that definitely defines a need for help here in Blackstone, which Spring Hill is trying to do. On the second page, third page, I'm sorry, it has the proposal. The fourth page is where I want to get to, where there was some concerns previously. What we're hoping is that the town is able to secure grant funding to do the renovations for the building. After they renovate the building, then we would hope that we have the opportunity to enter into partnership with the town in leasing the building. At this point, what we're proposing is that we offer $500 a year plus 25% towards utilities to cover payment. Now, the reason why we chose that number is because this is not funded by the church. The church tithes and offering will not be used for this. It will be donations. So we tried to meet a level that we felt that we could facilitate. Next, we have on the next page, what we have is the list of benefits of us working together as a town and the outreach center. It gives an expanded reach. We join together. The community will see us operating as one unit. I know people have been saying here lately there was some racial issues. This is not about race. This outreach center will be open to everyone. We're also asking other nonprofit churches to partner with us on this. So we want to just squash that right now. It's not about race, but it is about helping God's people. That's the whole goal behind this. We're not looking for a profit. We're not aiming to take anything from anyone. What we're doing is we're giving away more than we're receiving. So any fees that we do receive, it will go directly back into administrative support of the building. It also will drive increased impact here in the town. People will see the church and the town working together as one unit. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a positive thing. So often people want to keep people separated. I understand the separation between church and state, but I'm just saying we work together as a partner to make a better community for Blackstone. Blackstone is a great place to live, although I live in Prince George, but I want to see this town strive. I want to see the best for Blackstone. That's why we're doing this. We're not doing this just to say, we're doing something out in the community. We want to help, and that's why we're asking for this building.
I don't think there's anyone that doubts your intentions, okay? Based on receiving this tonight and showing you the due respect you deserve, I can't read this and.
I understand.
And we are coming back here on the 1st of May.
Mark,
I would,
you got me all messed up too, yeah.
I would like for Mr. Harf to review this.
Sure.
I'd like him to present council with a brief, and we'll provide a package with all the information, including this.
Sure.
And I want to do it right. It seems to be that some people spoke that maybe we procedurally didn't do it correctly. I want to make sure that our attorney is on board, and then we can make a rational decision. I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm stammering a little bit. I don't want us to make a decision and then have the attorney tell us that we got to move it. So
Right.
let's do it right. I don't think y'all in a hurry. I think
No, we're
based
not.
on my conversations with you, I think what you do is neat and in order. And so if you don't mind, I'm gonna bring this before the council on the 1st of May.
Yeah, we weren't expecting a decision tonight. We knew that you had to go back because you just received it today and read through it. So we just wanted to present this to you, also to state the fact that, we just want to help. That's the only thing we're trying to do, help the community.
Available to come back on the 1st?
Yes.
All right, well, that sounds great. Council, you have any questions between now and the 1st? Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank
I made a mistake, Mr. Lee. I promised number 5 to a very pretty lady, and I'm sorry she outranked you.
It's all good.
Chairman Green with DBI, will you come forward? Y'all can understand, right? I was very busy today, council, and I don't like to do this, but the only reason you have this additional information at your desk is because we're dealing with timing. Mr. Allman, our DBI liaison, or either Chairman Green, if y'all can help me out, but you have for the public, you have a letter, a proposed letter from me, to DHCD, and some figures and, explaining the grant. So would you, one of y'all, bail me out of this hole I'm digging?
I can start with the broad picture. The broad picture is every year DVI gets a shot at a downtown investment grant called our DIG grant. Our current DIG grant is the one that's providing the money for the square, for the $75,000 grant for that. This year, because we realized the town's financial predicament, it's a little tighter this year. We always try to go after the DIG grant, so we went after a much smaller portion of it. Instead of the full $75,000, we're asking for $20,000 this year for adding some more light pole banners. We really like the veteran light pole banners downtown, and we thought if we added a hanger on the other side, we could do some other festive banners on one side, while in keeping with our promise of keeping the banners up for 8 years for the people that donated from. So again, this application, I can let you do the numbers. Get the spreadsheet if that works. Or you want me to? Oh, you don't have
I don't have it in front of me. We also included some marketing materials for the downtown or for Blackstone as a whole. We would like to create more of a brochure, a welcome brochure that would maybe have a QR code to send any visitors to all of our shopping. And then to make some additional updates to the travel website and our website. So the numbers we came up with for the banners and the brackets you see there is approximately 19,000. The marketing materials about 5. So that would be the total cost of the project. We would apply for 20,000, which would mean a 10,000 match from the town, which could be cash and in kind. So we figured on in kind installing all the banners to be approximately 5,500 and a cash match of 4,500.
Members of council, you have any questions about the materials that you were presented this evening?
We've already applied for the grant, and we need the verification from the council by tomorrow.
We have a new requirement for verification of funds that we weren't aware of, which is why this is a little.
I apologize for the last moment, but last minute.
Just told another request that
Well, I don't have to excuse myself because I don't get to vote, so,
The spirit
The
of,
reason I asked you to consider this one is because there's $20,000 of free money on the table. This is a little different than your average request because it's a grant request. DBI has special access to Virginia Main Street Fund, a special buck for money, and that's what we're trying to capitalize on every year, so.
it's not free. I mean, it costs 4,500, but yeah, there's free money on the table. But I do think
20,000 of it would be.
it's a good proposal. I'll motion that we accept it and do the match for the 4,500.
Mr. Page has moved, is there a second?
I got a question.
Can I get a second before we have discussion, please? Is there, Mr. Alman? Mr. Alman, second, Mr. Miller?
Hey, Mr. Mayor, so we just told the Chamber of Commerce that they had to wait.
Well, the only reason they're asking for it, there's no we to it, is that this has to be turned in tomorrow. Otherwise, I would bring it back up on the first.
insurance needs to be in by tomorrow for the chamber. I mean,
But I would say that the chamber has we're getting at the deadline as well. Just, it's not tomorrow, but it's,
my
you know.
The reason I separate these, I would separate those two. When the DPS position was funded, it was funded as a position to go after grant money. That's what I came to present, that's what we all agreed on, and that's what we're doing. We have special access to that grant money, and we don't like to let it pass by.
Which is-
Again, we drastically reduced what the scope could be, out of respect to the town's financial position, to get it down to our goal was a less than $10,000 match, and we ended up at 4,500.
It's the right proposal. I think it's a good project for downtown. It shows us being a military town. It keeps with the beautification. It's the right thing to do. We should do it.
expended in our council discretionary for this current year?
It's been,
This would be next year,
This would be,
next fiscal year.
We're approving, I mean,
I have a stupid question. If we go through with this tonight, are we gonna have to vote again to accept the grant?
I believe the DBI board would vote to accept the grant, but yes, there would be a second vote to accept the grant. This wouldn't be necessarily this board.
I'm all for the grant, don't get me wrong, but we constantly spend 10,000 here, 4,000 here, 20,000 each meeting. We don't budget it, guys.
Well, here's the deal.
we're,
I'll make a deal, and this is more of a handshake deal. If this comes up in the town, we can't find it in the budget, then I will personally vote against it on the DBI board, and I think that we'd have some others that would follow. The only reason this is pressing now is, again, because this is an unexpected deadline that we didn't have, and, we hadn't finished our budget for next year, so we haven't been able to put it in either.
it does keep up with the spirit of DBI. And, the project is for downtown, and we are a military town. I think it's the right project.
All right, I wanna hear from other members of council. Does anyone else want to weigh in? You have a motion made by Mr. Page and seconded by Mr. Almond. Is there any more discussion or questions?
Well, I agree with Mr. Page, simply because of the fact that I'm a military brat. And I love the fact that they do acknowledge the fort, even in the renaming. And they put the banners up throughout the year, throughout town, so I agree.
Yeah, and for the DBI board themselves, we voted on a transformation study that would build a better partnership with Blackstone, with our Fort Barfoot neighbor and our Department of State neighbor. And we're floating around with our 10-year vision, and one of the proposals was we want to be the most patriotic small town in Virginia. That's what we want to do. So,
I think Fast C brings a lot of money here and the base itself, and we could take it out of lodging tax, that they're constantly spending it on. We could take it out of the power those facilities are taking. $4,500 is a drop in the bucket compared to what that base is bringing into town. That's all I'm saying.
All right, any other discussion? I did hear both sides, so I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
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 Motion carries 7-0. Anything else for council?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Gordon Lee, thank you for being patient, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time tonight. I drove from North Carolina to speak after seeing an article in the newspaper. My wife and I, Patty, formerly owned 101 on Main Street. We owe the town $7,000 and something in meals tax. From day one, when our business went under, when we were struggling, I told the treasurer of the town it is not a political statement, but I didn't have any money to pay. On March the 1st, I told the town treasurer, specifically because the house, my wife and I made a very serious commitment to pay our debts. We sold our house of 28 years on family land. I am now an outcast in my family because I sold, but it's what we had to do to pay our debt. On March 1st, I informed the treasurer, who I found out later was sitting in Mr. Van Ormick's office on speakerphone evidently, that when my house sold, I would pay the town tax when I had the money. The house was already under contract. Okay, the house was sold. The buyer, unfortunately, had a VA loan. If you've ever had a VA loan, there's hoops you got to jump through. You got to fix this, you got to do this, you got to do that. On the 14th, and I will gladly show you my bank statements, my wife, who had gotten laid off from Capital One, received her final lump sum check, which was enough to cover the town taxes. On the 15th, I was in Philip's office with my checkbook, willing to pay the town taxes. However, they had already contacted an attorney, even though I told them I didn't have the money, I was going to pay when I got it. I got served with a warning debt on the 12th. Now there's $1,955 worth of legal fees. So if you see a man walking down the street struggling to carry his load, you're going to pick up another rock and put it on him? So instead of the $7,000 that I'm willing to pay because I owe, and I got the money on the 14th, was in his office on the 15th. This is where we stand. Legal fees that did not need to exist. When all you have in this life is your word, okay? The last thing he said to me in his office referred to me as another former business owner that was arrested for not paying meals tax. I did not appreciate that. I am not that person. That person never should have been brought up. He made it personal. Now, I will pay my meals tax. I fully agree to that. But the legal fees, I mean, you slammed $1,955 and some change more on me when I, as a man, told you I'm going to pay. That's not the way this town needs to do business. You just said yourself, y'all are down to under 3,500 people. You know, y'all got to be respectful of people in the times they're in. I mean, when a business closes, it's not because I'm rich. And I appreciate your time. I wanted to tell my side of the story because in the Courier Record, there was something about Philip's remarks to y'all at the last meeting. The owner has agreed to pay the meals tax. There's something about the legal fees I don't know. He knew because I was standing in his office.
Well, if you don't mind me interjecting, and I'm interrupting you because I'm afraid I'm gonna forget, okay? The action that was taken to you was triggered by statute. It wasn't personal. It wasn't, let's pick on Mr. Gordon Lee. And although I'm extremely sensitive to the hard times you've had, I am. I've faced several hard times, and I hope and pray I don't have to face another one. But the fact of the matter, Mr. Lee, is let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah, it's all, you got to cover your butt. I get it.
These funds were intended to be segregated. They weren't. This was town taxes that belonged to the treasury of Blackstone, and so they should have been paid when they were due, right? So, sir.
With all due respect, Mr. Lee, that wasn't your money to spend. That you were collecting it for the citizen to give to the town.
Okay.
The citizen was paying.
I fully understand the law. I do. And I understand. I do. But at some point, y'all got to turn human being and treat humans like humans. If I tell you I'm going to pay the money, if I call you on March 1st and say, well, as soon as my house sells, but guess what? I got the money before the house sold. I was in the office to pay. I'm willing to pay. Y'all are adding more burden on top.
Well,
that makes no
please don't
sense.
make this council out to be the boogeyman because
I'm not.
Because if you only knew how many people, and I'm not referring to you, how many people have told the town manager, I'm good for it, I swear I'm gonna do this, and skip town on us. I've had conversations with the manager about how much we lose annually from people skipping out. It's amazing. It's astonishing. So what the council was very deliberate and cautious in the manner that they handled your account. And I understand that you're frustrated, but this is a very compassionate group in a very compassionate town. I can't sit here and tell you how many things we do. We do workforce homes. We do.
I understand,
we do a
Mayor.
lot of things that other towns don't do.
But
So
were any of my remarks reflected to town council that I was going to pay? Or was it under the assumption that I was just like that other person that got arrested and was making a big political statement?
I wasn't in the room when this happened. I'm talking about here today.
I understand,
okay?
but
And
don't refer to me as somebody who tried to get over on the town.
I'm not referring. I haven't referred to that.
That's the way it was referred to me by your town
May I
manager.
ask a question?
Absolutely.
I'm sympathetic to your position, I am, and like the mayor says, these things are done by statute, so like they automatically, they're written in the code. And like Mr. Jake Allman said, he has a point as well. You know, you're there to collect, and I think you recognize that. But if you're willing to pay the amount that's past due and you have the money, the taxes themselves, and you're only disputing attorney fees, have you made that payment?
He refused the payment. I was in his office
Right,
with a
right,
checkbook.
But we have,
Well, we turned the matter over to tax, the
Right.
company that handles this kind of thing for us.
but they would
And
have
at
took the
this time-
7,000, right? They would have collected the 7,000. You could have called the collection agency and said, I only want to pay 7,785. Now, they may not agree to it, but they would have took the payment.
Nope,
Yeah.
they would not. I tried. Partial payment, but payment in full. They still want the 9,000, not the 7,000 I owe.
I
Yeah,
didn't say that
yeah.
they would agree to waive the fees, but they should always be willing to take whatever payment the customer's willing to make. And if they're not, then we need to look into that, but I would
Okay.
feel a lot more
I'm
comfortable
not,
had that
look,
payment been
I'm
made.
not here to dispute anything. I want y'all to understand, okay? Y'all've got to get back on the human level and stop taking this town business. I mean, I'm not gonna say it. Sometimes, and the way it comes across is y'all are sitting up here acting like God. And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
I take exception to that.
No,
and
because
you're not
y'all are
allowed-
making.
You're not allowed to make disparaging comments to the council.
It's not a disparaging comment,
it
Ben.
is.
It's, I said it was like. Y'all are making decisions and you're not putting the human factor in. There are humans in this town.
I think we do, and I think we do it too much. We make decisions based on feelings and not by the law and by facts. So I have to disagree with you, and I won't let you stand here and say unflattering comments to
Well,
this.
if I upset you, Mayor, I apologize. I'm not here to upset y'all. Like I said, I am here to make the statement. Y'all need to get back to treating people like human beings, period. And the
Do you have a
comment,
request for the council, sir? Do you have a request?
no, sir, I do not.
All right, well, I have a lengthy agenda. I think you've made your point. And members of council, do you have any questions?
I would just encourage you to pay the principal amount. I mean, you may dispute the other amount, but at least pay.
I'm gonna pay, again, I'm not here to dispute. What I'm here saying is y'all just need to treat people like human beings and not put more burden on them.
I got it the first time.
Yep.
Okay,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
who's next, Madam Clerk?
Philip,
Nice.
Philip, can you make sure that they are taking whatever payment somebody's willing to pay?
Just we got a little chatter going on, just a second. You can put it in the paper, I'm not gonna be as tolerant toward him again. We gonna be long.
People write checks with their mouth.
We gonna be
talking,
long.
they got to go.
Let's get back on track or we're not gonna get out of here. Sir, state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is James Crawley. This is my wife, Ann Crawley. We live at 902 Luke Street, Blackstone.
Good to meet y'all.
Thank you. We're here, we turned in submitted a traffic comment request. We've been having trouble on Luke Street, Ball Street, with speeders. I mean, not just running 35. They rolling. And we had a bad accident out there, and it's dangerous. And our request is to see if we can get speed bumps to slow them down, maybe to they won't be driving quite as fast, because somebody got real hurt in an accident a few weeks ago.
A tragic thing,
Yeah, it was. Somebody could have got killed, because I was looking out my window when they passed by my turn, and I didn't know that it was an accident later, but it was.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, I just wanna seek information here.
Yes, sir.
And you're making great points, thank you. Is it a select few, or is it outsiders of your neighborhood that are speeding through here, or is it just a general problem?
But see, I can't say who is speeding.
Okay.
I'm just saying traffic is coming through there. A lot of times people come in our area that don't live there, and it could be some that's in the area. I can't say,
I see the police chief here, he seems to be very attentive.
Okay.
If you will, let me work on the short term and long term, okay? Let me engage with the town manager and see about your speed bumps.
Yes.
But in the meantime, Chief Murphy, would you install the radar? That thing really works. And what it'll be is it's a big box that shows your speed, and it brings attention. It also shows the presence of Chief Murphy's department, and if you will, a few more patrols daily until we can talk about.
But we ain't gonna forget about the speed bump
No,
thing.
sir, I'm not forgetting anything.
Okay.
Clerk doesn't allow me to forget.
Okay, we already done did the paperwork. We done turned the paperwork already in. We turned all
We had
paperwork.
we have a solicited number names.
I gave him the policy and I created a spreadsheet and he's gotten.
We done got the signatures.
They've gotten the signatures and that was the next step. So we do have that in the office.
I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna refer this to Chairman Miller. And he's the chairman of Street and Light. And, I'm gonna tell him what you said. I'm gonna stay with him, okay?
All right.
Okay, praise the
But in
Lord.
the meantime, our able-bodied chief here is gonna give you some devices over there that'll calm down. And, I know that wreck was tragic.
Oh, yeah.
It
I
was.
know you can't have that. And
What's
you
that
have
same
a very
clause?
quiet night, and the people over there are just really good people. You don't need this foolishness, Mr. Mayor.
For police chief, is there any way we can upgrade the speed sign to where it will actually record the data to where tickets could be given if it was a camera system of any type over a certain threshold?
I think that's gotta be a man with the gun, with the radar gun. I've heard that before, but
How do traffic lights do it and take pictures of your?
There's civil phones.
I mean, so anything's better than nothing. So
It would have to be done, besides maybe you guys would have to get the.
well, how about we do this? We'll have Mr. Miller and his committee take it up with the attorney. And we're sympathetic, but the government takes a little bit more time, but we'll get it done, okay? You have my
Okay,
commitment.
get it done. We'll be back now.
Okay, I'll invite you to come back.
Yeah. Thank you,
I
man.
know you will.
And it sounds like you have the commitment of this fine council.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
Mayor, I've been
Mayor.
working with Mr. Crawley also. They called me with this information, so I've been working with him through the
Yes.
whole process.
Yes, she did.
So
Thank y'all.
you've got it on the front burner.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
Thank y'all for your patience too.
All right.
I've known them since I was
And
a
when they
child.
come up here and they treat us respectful, it means a lot to me. All right. Are there any other visitors that would like to come forward at this time? Before I hear from the police chief, we probably have a 30-minute closed session. That's gonna put us at the 9 o'clock hour. On the unfinished business, is there anything, when we come to that point, if there's anything pressing?
You do have a couple items.
Okay, and then whatever you can put off until the first, I'd be grateful, okay? Mr. Fire Chief, Chief Tomer. Good evening, sir, it's good to see you.
Good evening. I'll try and make this extremely quick.
Brevity and levity, as the man leaving the door would say.
Under old business, there hasn't been much updates on the radio project. Of course, money's the issue, and the multi-million-dollar project, they're trying to figure out how to cut back some and make it feasible for the county and the citizens without having to incur a tax increase to ensure that not only an animal shelter but also a new communication system is developed for our county. I would like to thank town manager on the hydrant maintenance moving forward. I've noticed it under unfinished business in this month's packet. Hopefully y'all will agree on moving forward with that. Our water flow is essential to firefighter operations, especially on our larger structures such as Main Street, our shopping centers and so forth. Single house, not as important to us. Water supply is definitely needed, but not thousands of gallons of water. So it would be excellent to have this project undertaken. Under new business, thank you all for looking at the aerial device. We've been really rolling on putting equipment on it. It's going to be a blessing to the community. This thing's smarter than a lot of us, and it takes a very minimal amount of knowledge to actually use it and set it up. As discussed earlier, With Mr. Gormas, it does flow 2,000 gallons a minute if properly supplied, and that's why the hydrant inspection program that we talked about in the maintenance program is really important to us. We're still looking for a late June to hopefully get in service, push in July timeframe. It's just really hard to schedule something in summer months with people's availabilities, holidays, and so forth. But as soon as we figure something out, we'll let you know of when we're going to be moving forward with pushing it in, doing an official ceremony. Our recruitment and retention committee is really starting to expand their efforts in bringing in members and also providing more of a better atmosphere within the organization, especially in our day room, to make it more family oriented. Currently, we have, I believe, 18 members that have served over 20 years. It sounds great, but it is really a bad problem because after 20 years, you do get burnt out. And, waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning isn't one of the big things that you do after 20 years of service because you're also up there in age as well. So we're looking at bringing in younger people, trying to get that motivation back. Sadly, throughout the United States, this is a problem. It's just not us, it's everywhere. If we did have to transition to a career-type organization, the town would, and county, because I think the county would have their feet in this as well, you're looking at millions of dollars in salaries alone. So there's bigger standards that have to be withheld. So we're doing our best with what we can to ensure that we have the best turnout possible when we have a call. Regretfully, as I said, people don't work in town no more. People don't live in town much. We don't have many members of our organization that are in town. So to get an engine out at 3 o'clock in the morning, it might take 10 plus minutes to get a fire engine out the door because of that.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question, Mr. Manager. Do we incentivize town employees to participate in the fire department?
I can't say we incentivize them with financial contribution, but we certainly allow any town employee that is on the fire department, and I don't know if you even have any.
We don't anymore. Timmy,
David Ostrander was very active at one time.
Tim
Two
Barnes,
others, and
yeah.
We never gigged anybody for their time, and they could run a call and still get paid. No, we didn't make them use comp time.
And it was a huge asset because we knew they were coming.
Yeah.
Well, let's get through this audit and this budget and some of this stuff, and maybe we can get together and think about some ways we'll come to the council.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is affecting all of emergency services throughout the Commonwealth. Our ALS drug box, under some new federal regulation, we get these for free. The medications, including narcotics, cardiac medication, is provided by the hospital system, and we just hold on to a box, we use it, we give that box to the hospital, they give us a new box. Under new regulations, they're saying now we have to purchase all of the medicine, have to store the medications, have to have an alarm system, a locked room for it, a camera system, licenses for these medicines. It's becoming a big thing for all volunteer organizations. Within the county, I believe Burkeville Fire Department has requested right around 20,000, the squad over 30,000 just to get this program started. We initially were looking at just back sizing our organization, just going from an advanced life support agency to a BLS support agency. We stop the bleeding, airway, breathing, circulation, and we wait for that ambulance to show up. There was some contingency within the department when that was brought forth because they really feel that the ALS agency does provide a valuable service to the community. So internally, we're trying to look at our options and opportunities, look at the data, how much ALS we actually go on, what do we need, and will this work? We wanted to partner with the squad. Hey, can you store the medications? We buy them off of you. And from what we're being told, that's illegal. So they're really putting a lot of burden on the individual entities moving forward.
Have we discussed this with the county's emergency coordinator, Mr. Buddy Hyde, and is there any kind of grant funding to come up with the money you need to continue the program? It could be a matter of life and death.
So Buddy is involved in it, hence it was brought up in the budget planning aspects to see about moving forward. So he is 100% on board with, trying to figure out how to make this work. The downfall, we are one agency that does not provide an ambulance. We just do first responder services. So Burkeville and Nottoway Rescue, they transport. So it's a little bit of a different scenario. And for me to say it's worth 20,000, I personally need to see data to make sure that we're spending money appropriately and that we're getting the best. But on the downfall, nobody complains about it until it's them having the heart attack and they wish they had the drugs. So it's just like a fire truck. Everybody complains about the money, but their house is on fire. They're very happy to be there. So it's just one of those faults that we have to work through and figure out what's the best avenue to move forward. This Saturday, I think the weather will hold out well. We got our golf tournament. We sold out of teams, which was really impressive. I believe it's 18 teams, and we actually had members that wanted to continue to play. We had to turn away teams. So this has become a great fundraiser for us, and we have a good time. Huge community involvement, too, with sponsoring holes. A lot of our vendors are actually sponsoring holes and equipment. We have a good time, and it's usually a great fundraiser for us as well. This week, National Public Safety Communications Week. Please, if you see a dispatcher, Nottoway Sheriff's Office did post some pictures of their dispatchers I saw today. Reach out to them. The town does pay $22,500 a year to Nottoway County Sheriff's Office to support the dispatching program when we stop doing dispatching here. So these are not only county dispatchers, you guys also have a huge part in, well, I don't want to say huge, 22,000 doesn't touch much of their budget, but you have a piece of the pie, I would say, in the communication system for 911. And lastly is the years of celebration that are in front of you for all our members. And that's all I have.
Some pretty amazing numbers.
That's excellent.
Excellent.
All right.
Members of council, I'm gonna start writing letters to those that have 25 years of service. Any objections to that? Thank them on your behalf. Members of council?
Wonderful.
I think you should go to 20.
20 is done. Yes, sir, Mr. Nash, 20 years, and I will send them a.
Thank you. I think that's very nice. I know we try to get somewhat of the same thing out of the county for resolutions and stuff, but they felt that it was a little bit too much. Just a letter, I think, is appreciable from the council.
While you're up here, just so the Penguin Dispatch Service in the bill, what is that?
Penguin is e-dispatch,
Okay.
which I'm hoping to get rid of when we transition to IAR with the two-tone direct.
Gotcha.
I would add too, I think the county's intending to take over fully the Code Red.
Code Red and IAR, correct.
Thank you, Chief.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Members of council, you have before you 2 batches of bills this evening. The first batch has been paid but needs council approval. And these bills totaled $563,051.50. Mr. Nash moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller seconds. Is there any questions about these bills? I'll ask for a roll call vote for approval starting with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
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 That motion carries 7-0. The second batch of bills that you have before you, they need to be approved and paid, and they're in the amount of $251,200.93. May I have a motion to approve? Mr. Nash moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Williams second. Is there any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I see some property tax refunds from 3 years ago, 21, 22. One for business, one for personal. I mean, what's administration, page 1 of 8. So they paid the tax in 2021. We're giving it back to them now. Was there an over?
Yep, they were abatements that we own from Nottoway County for tax refunds.
Yeah.
So they had already paid them, so had to refund.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Various reasons, could be they sold it before they.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, beginning with Mr. Gormas.
Aye.
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 That motion carries 7-0. Mr. Manager, are there any appropriations for council to consider? Moving right along to committee reports, we have 3 tonight. We'll begin with employment and police, and this committee met on the 19th and the 3rd. Mr. Norbeck or Chairman Miller, would you care to report?
You wanna go, or you want me to? I'll go. I'm getting there. Hang on, I know I'm slow here. I'll just read very quickly. We discussed raises that potentially could be included in the budget, merit raises as well as, and clarifying what was presented initially as merit raises, but they're really just step increases that the council had approved previously for certain departments. We discussed a human resource position. The committee has some interest in hiring a full-time person to handle human resource activities for the town. Personnel policy, we discussed this, and the policy is already in place, so there does not need to be modification, therefore no recommendation. But we do have a staff meeting tomorrow morning, and that staff meeting is going to obviously deal with health insurance and renewals and all those kinds of things and getting people re-enrolled. But also we're going to discuss that in order to donate sick time, our policy requires you to only donate to somebody who is currently has a valid Family Medical Leave Act. I think it's something that's been treated like trading cards a little bit too much, and so I've asked the council to support me in the enforcement of that ordinance, and we will be meeting.
Done so, right?
Pardon?
I believe we've done so, the council.
Oh, yeah. The committee that we've discussed so far, and then we'll present it to the employees tomorrow. We had the de-escalation training on March 26th, and was well attended. And I think Chief Murphy also made presentation about some of the positions and movement of positions and discussion about officers and rank and that sort of thing. And again, I think there was a second meeting on the 3rd of April, and we rediscussed the COLA, cost of living, and merit and step raises, and I think it was understood by the committee, and hopefully we were able to answer their questions. And again, we discussed that human resource position. It's one of the things that the Finance Committee and Town Council is going to have to wrestle with in funding a position. Okay.
I'll go ahead and do it now. I was gonna wait for referrals, but I'm gonna refer to the Finance Committee adding an HR position. Okay?
Can we discuss what we discussed in the meeting on covering the payment of such a position? Don't you think so, Mr. Moore? I mean, you want to speak to this?
You're more than welcome to. It would be, it'd be good to hear.
Yeah, I mean,
hear the
we
council's-
brought it up. We brought it up with the explanation of how it could be covered. We have 13 police, no disrespect to the police department at all. Thank you. But we have 13, and there is another position that's still vacant. $47,000. The realignment of the police team that Mr. Murphy was speaking of would allow for 15,000 less than currently budgeted. That's 62,000. And a starting HR person, you could probably start them at 50 if you're talking about 65 for top end pay.
That's top end of the salary range that we presented.
So that was where, we didn't just throw it out there. We had numbers.
Well, it makes sense. If you don't mind me commenting, one of the things that differentiates Blackstone from other small towns is our outstanding police department.
Yes, sir.
And I would beg the council to find the funds from somewhere else and not cut a position from public safety.
I hear what you're saying, I do, but I honestly believe we have more than the county does right now, don't we?
Yeah, but crime's also been skyrocketing,
think we
including
have
violent crime since in the
manpower
last
that
year.
they need.
Yeah.
Okay. We've been discussing this HR position for the last 5 years, probably. Every time we think we're gonna get one, something always comes up. So what the Employment and Police Committee is asking us to give consideration as far as this HR officer.
Well, you're on that committee.
It's been here, we brought it up every year, and every year it just goes down. So, and the reason why I'm pushing for this is because we need it. We need an HR person, and there's no need in fighting.
Okay. Well, I've referred it to the committee, and you're a member of that committee.
Philip and I sat down Thursday, and we're gonna be having a county finance committee meeting, obviously. And Philip presented what is a rough balanced budget to me, and he wanted to know my opinion. My opinion is we're short $250,000. we gotta figure out, so I told him, I said, look, let's not add stuff in there, this is council's budget. Let's make a bullet point of what's in there and what's not in there, and that's where we have to figure out what we add and what we don't add. So,
Also need to identify what we don't need that's already
agree,
in there.
100%.
That's also a good list.
So, I mean, and when I say we're short $250,000, I mean, it's simple stuff like, are we stocking away? I mean, this is a project that I've always been saying it's not in there, is put $100,000 away for South Main Street widening to try to start some funding. $75,000 for curb and gutter on Hurt Street. That's not in there. We've got to figure out, do you want these things? Do we not want them? So,
Well, it's my understanding that we were looking at switching insurance companies to,
correct,
and
say
that
possibly
There's
$50,000.
$50,000,
potentially some
but the
savings.
coverage was better, and then if we did switch, we would have access to an HR firm
Correct. That
which
we're
would
waiting
be-
on answers, I believe.
included.
Yeah, we're waiting on answers.
Yeah.
But that is a way,
I was there.
that is a way to have HR,
But,
essentially no cost.
but, hold up. Understand what you're saying, I hear what you're saying. But, we have to take a look at this HR. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's not gonna be one of these, we don't need one of these HRs, you gotta go out here and call them every day when you got an issue. Regardless if it's free or not. We need somebody now. And I think Ms. Williams has brought this up ever since she's been on council.
For the last 2 years, I know we
No
have
action has been
spoken
taken.
of it.
It seems like it just gets kicked down the road.
But it's not just, HR is not just for us to call, it's for employees to call if they have a complaint.
That, right,
Right.
and
That's the whole
right now,
purpose
the
of it.
employees don't have that.
Right.
Right.
But using a firm through our insurance to help mitigate HR losses is probably a smart idea.
We'll debate it in the budget. We need to get the numbers before us before we really sit here and say. So let's look at what we have in the budget and what we don't have in it, and that's why I told Philip. He said, "Oh, let me finagle it." I said, "No, don't finagle it. That's this council's budget. Let us work it." So you're gonna see us come to you sooner than June and say, "Hey, here's our balanced budget," because we want input. So
I think that's a great thing. Great compromise.
I think we're gonna get one regardless. I mean, everybody knows we need one. We're gonna get one.
Don, what else you have, Mr. Norwood?
I think that covered police employment.
Move on to building, property, and cemetery.
I think we talked at some length tonight already about the LCCDC building.
I beg your pardon?
I think we talked at some length about the LCCDC building already.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions or additions.
Well, you know, procedure. I think we have several issues that I'd like to get cleared up, and you may correct me and say we don't need to do it. But we have an RFP out there. The town generated an RFP.
Correct.
We need to do away with that, or award someone, or we just can't leave it hanging out here.
I
Did
think
we issue another one because the other one closed?
Well, no, they're still there. The receiving period is over.
But the one from Spring Hill wasn't presented before the request for proposals was established. Theirs was in February 22nd, and then after theirs was when
Step
the
came.
RFP requests were put out. So what I'm saying is, you see where I'm going?
No. So-
Well, I mean, theirs wasn't in the window of RFP receiving. Whereas the other one actually did come in 4 hours before the deadline, 5:30 on that date. I'm not trying to make it hard, I'm just trying to make it real. I mean,
Spring Hill never resubmitted their proposal within the RFP timeline?
I'd have to check to see the dates of their submittals, but
More concerning.
they submitted it,
well, there was no
we
RFP.
presented it, and then council
They
asked for an
presented,
RFP.
they
They
came
should have
just,
resubmitted that.
Well, and what's even more concerning is the RFP didn't have the proper wording in it, so we probably should withdraw it, number one. But number two, I think council needs to figure out whether they wanna rent that building for a longer period than 5 years to
What did
figure out
the-
if a RFP is needed in it
What did
at
the
all.
RFP lack, Mr. Page?
Sorry?
What did the RFP lack? You said
I
that-
think that was, the town attorney said it had some proper ordinance in it, is that right?
Yeah, the second, well, it's debatable as to whether the second portion of that RFP was correctly done. Yeah, basically, the first thing you're supposed to do is get bids, which we did. And the second thing is the town is supposed to, advertise an ordinance. And that portion was not done. It was simply the
Request, oh, yeah, yeah.
request for the.
So I think it's probably not proper, but, you know, is an RFP needed if we're not gonna lease the building over 5 years? I think that's no,
That's
right?
So it's,
So are you looking to execute an agreement with whoever for more than 5 years? And if so, we need an RFP.
In your very short time of having the second proposal in front of you, do you believe that this satisfies 15.2,
So in terms of just the proposal itself and what you're gonna be evaluating, I think you're gonna get into the analysis there. So now it's not a strict donation, right? There is some amount of money being paid. I believe, I think it was $500 a year, is that what it is? Yeah, so,
Which is 7,500 lower than the previous one.
right, in comparison, it's obviously drastically lower than the other bid. But there is a mechanism to decide, okay, is there something that the church's proposal is offering that the other proposal does not? Essentially, you have to make a determination as to whether there's a legitimate basis for taking that proposal, because otherwise we have to take the higher bid. So if you're gonna look to the lower bid, it has to be, okay, well, we're taking the lower bid because X, Y, Z, in comparison to the other bid that doesn't have.
The other was withdrawn.
It was withdrawn.
yeah, the other bid.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if that was withdrawn, then what? Huh?
I was unaware of that.
He didn't know.
You're saying that
The other proposal was withdrawn.
okay, well then
After
we're
they
talking about
raised.
a whole different ballgame.
I think what my question really is it more of black and white where if somebody pays $1, then it's no longer considered a donation, it's considered a lease? Or is there, if somebody pays $2, but you put $100,000 in it, is that is it a loophole, or is it just?
Yeah, so it's not black and white. I think if you pay $1, it's clear that it's not a meaningful, it's not a real transaction, right, in that sense.
And I guess the lease amount for what, or the amount of money that would be put specifically into the restoration would determine how much in the gray area you'd be even with the $500
Probably,
proposal?
yeah. I mean, but if you're talking about, so I think this kind of ties into whether we're talking about withdrawing the proposals and resubmitting the RFP. I think you need to do that first to see if you're going to get any more proposals. Okay? Because if there's a 5-year plan to do, if it's a 5-year more lease, okay, because that's the first step we need to do anyway. If there's only one proposal, then frankly there's no question, right? The only question would be is if the proposal was something like we're not gonna, there is no rent being proposed at all, or it's a type of thing where it's $1, because that's a nominal.
Yeah, I guess my question is more of a hypothetical. If we redo the RFP and we only get one proposal out of it, the same proposal.
Right.
My question is do you believe this proposal is legally acceptable?
From the few minutes I looked at it, I don't see any reason it wouldn't be. But I also, I glanced at it just like you all did, so I want to take a look at it in full.
And can I say something
Ms.
too?
Williams?
I understand you just found out, sir. I think it'd be fair to Spring Hair. Some of these questions that we asked should have been asked while he was here, when it was open discussion. We're talking about the, situation now that they're gone, and they might have had some questions.
Right.
So I think we need to go, I guess, Building and Ground Committee, look at it, then come back, because we're talking on air about questions, and they're not here to answer.
Well, I appreciate you wanting to go to the committee, but we're at the council level now. But I agree 100%, and we're in the weeds here, and that's not what I want.
Right.
So,
We've asked everyone to come back on the first, and that's a great point, and forgive me for not thinking of it. What I'm concerned is we have an RFP out there, we have a withdrawal out there, and I wanna mop them up. So can you help me? What do I need to do to mop it up? We're gonna come back.
We can always not accept any proposal.
Okay.
So we need to close that RFP and then reissue a new one.
Okay.
or this can be resubmitted.
And that's the thing, is this proposal wasn't even submitted in response to the RFP, so
No.
that will give the opportunity for the applicant to also resubmit the RFP in the scrub
I
form.
just want to be clear. So you are saying $41 a month of rent is sufficient, much more sufficient to suffice a legality of the lease.
I'm saying it's different than a
A
donation,
dollar.
yes.
I don't
Okay.
think,
Because at first they wasn't offering any money.
Right.
Right.
I don't think it's fair. I agree with, Councilwoman Williams. I don't think it's fair for us to debate this without the parties here, okay? So, what I wanna do is help me offer council a motion to get rid of this mess and start all over again, okay? I just don't have the skill set tonight, I'm fried.
Yes, sir. Make a
Okay.
motion to not accept any of the proposals.
Mr. Almond moves to not to accept any proposal. Is there a second?
At this
Mr.
present
Nash.
time. At this present time.
That's
Oh,
correct.
yeah, I'll follow.
Oh, not to accept any of the proposals that were tendered in our past RFP.
Right.
Okay? I have a motion and a second from Mr. Almond and Mr. Nash. Is there any discussion?
That does not include what the gentleman presented tonight.
No. No, I'm talking about the things that you had before you in the past, okay?
Can I go on record and say, I wasn't here when Springer had the first meeting with everyone that came with their proposal. Were they told at that time by RFP? Because when they came the second time, that's when all this RFP came up. So I think we're going back and forth, we're going backwards.
It's not going back, it's policy. If it's over 5 years, we must, as a town locality, submit for RFPs.
I understand that, but were they instructed
Was
that
that
when the
RFP
first
stated 5
conversation was had? If I'm coming asking for something, you should give me everything I need to know.
I can bet you it's gonna be
Ms.
more.
Williams, when
But I
they came up and
understand that,
spoke and they tried to give their,
but what I'm saying-
presentation.
I talking about the first meeting.
Councilman Nash said,
Wait a minute.
to be fair, we do need to do an RFP to let
think it
other
was-
people. So
Right.
he
I think
did
it
bring that
was.
up in the meeting, and they were told that.
Well,
when they came
I
up
think so
with
too,
their
but I
first
mean,
presentation.
I can go back and look at the tape if you want me to.
No, I heard it that time, but I'm just saying the first conversation when they presented this to the council or to the committee, I don't think it was brought up from the conversation that I'm getting, from the calls that I'm getting. I wasn't there when they first proposed it. That's what I'm saying.
I'll look at the tape.
It wasn't said during their
First proposal.
proposal. It was said after they had done it and sat down, but they were still here. And Mr. Nash did say that he thought it would be a good idea to introduce that RFP.
And I'll be clear about this. I personally have been blasted from what I've heard, saying that the reason I suggested that was racial. 100% false. I can tell you that it's actually very hurtful that I've heard it from several members, that it came from several members of this council. And to be honest, I'm actually, the reason the one that was withdrawn was going to serve the same sector, we shied them away because we kicked the can down the road. And we've got to do better for our citizens. It was the same service. And they stepped out because, to be honest, I felt a little bad for them that night. And I felt bad that I didn't speak up, but I didn't because I had allegations that I was being racial. So I didn't want to muddy the waters in any way.
Can I comment on that?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay. The reason why it was said like that, Eric, was because, okay, first of all, people felt that if you had somebody else, when you hollered for that RFP, you should have said, okay, I got somebody else might be in there.
You want to know who my real person in mind, just because they approached me a month before, was help. They said they needed a building
Well,
to perform a clothes closet.
okay.
So I said, well, look, and I never mentioned to them, I said, they obviously read the paper, they know. If they want it, they can submit a proposal.
Well, I feel like this. You know, what's gonna happen is gonna happen. We cannot sit up here and argue about this.
No, I agree.
So we need to let this thing pass over. We decide what we gonna do and let it go.
We just need to be cautious of the assumptions we make of our fellow council members, is all I'm saying.
And,
Miller,
I
one
get
of them was
that.
from you.
Yeah, no, I tell you, yes,
All of
sir.
them was from you.
Hey, I'm a
You
man.
straight up told everybody
No, I
that
didn't
Nash
tell
was a
everybody.
racial man.
No, I didn't tell
and it was-
everybody.
that is wrong.
I told people that, like Philip and all them. Yes, I did say. Anything I tell you, Eric, I'm not the red line. Like
All
I
right.
tell you, that's not what I'm
Gentlemen,
here to do,
gentlemen,
sir. No, sir.
we're way out of scope of Robert's Rules of Order.
Can
And
I
give
call
you-
for the question for refusal of
In just a
proposals?
moment, I give y'all a lot of leeway in discussing. We're not permitted to speak to one another. I let a lot of things, we won't be up here arguing like that. And I'm gonna call for,
As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
We're not permitted to speak of one another. How do we debate without speaking to
I'll
one
give
another?
you, I'll, you to adjust the chair is the way.
I will say this,
And
and
I will get you, if
Mr.
you
Chairman.
need me to get you the reference that we voted on, I'll be glad to do so, okay? So, Mr. Nash has called for the question, I agree. The motion is from Mr. Almond and seconded by Mr. Nash, is to accept neither of these proposals and end the RFP, is that correct?
I believe only one was